Hey everyone, in this tutorial we're going to learn how to play Sky Team. There we go. Let's learn how to play Sky Team. This tutorial exists thanks to Nick and Yancer. Welcome to Sky Team. Right now you should be able to see the welcome screen. It pretty much says everything that I would say at the beginning of the tutorial, so minimize this box, read through it, close it, and continue when you're ready. Go ahead, I'll wait. Okay. So it's everything here, so let's just hide it for now. Okay. All set? Okay, great. Before we can start playing, we have to decide who we will play as, the pilot or co-pilot. BJ randomly decided that we will make this decision. Select pilot, then click on confirm at the top. All right. Sky Team is played over 7 rounds with 3 phases in each round: strategy, discussion, dice placement, end of round. We're now in the strategy discussion phase of round 1. During this phase, the cross out seatbelt, limited communication sign is on. You're free to discuss strategy with your partner. However, you may not discuss the dice. If you click on the sign, you'll see some examples of what you should and shouldn't say. So we click on the sign. Just say we really need to get rid of that plane token, or if you put a 6, put it here, things like that. Okay. It's highly recommended that you play Sky Team in real time and use the chat box to communicate with your teammate during this phase. You should start voice chat as well if you have a premium subscription. When you're done communicating, you can signal your readiness for phase 2 by clicking I'm ready. So click I'm ready. Okay, we're in phase 2, dice placement. The no communication sign is now on. Please return your tray tables or microphone to the locked or mute position. Each player has rolled 4 dice. We will now take turns placing individual dice into action spaces on the control panel. Scroll down for the next box. Most action spaces are either blue or orange. Only the pilot can place on blue spaces. The co-pilot can place the dice on orange spaces. Do you see the glowing exclamation point signs near the 4 spaces? Let's see, like right here. See these? That indicates, and also down here too, it indicates a mandatory action space. At the end of the round, if any of these spaces have not yet been filled, the plane will crash. Luckily, the autopilot will help us out with that. If you leave a mandatory slot open and try to use your last die on something else, the autopilot will stop you. Let's start with these 2 spaces. They control the plane's axis. Right here. When both spaces are filled, the plane will tilt one way or the other, depending on the difference between the 2 numbers. Let's try it. Select 2. We'll place it here and confirm. Good. Now it's our co-pilot's turn to place a die. Whoa, they seem to experience some turbulence. It's because our co-pilot placed a 4. So the difference between our die and their die is 2. So 4 minus 2 is 2. The plane's tilted 2 notches, 1, 2, in the direction of the larger die. We need to be careful with this. If the plane ever tilts so far that it moves to the X, the red X, we'll go into a tailspin. That means we'll crash and we'll lose. But don't worry, we can correct the axis the next round. At the end of the game, the plane's axis will need to be exactly level, so at the very end. Otherwise, we'll crash since it's level. If you need to read any of that again, you can click on these helpful question mark icons. So right here. There are question mark icons next to every feature on the control panel. Isn't that nice? Now let's talk about the engines. When both of the engine spaces are filled, the plane will then advance a number of spaces toward the airport, depending on the sum of the 2 dice and the positions of the aerodynamics markers. So these are the aerodynamics markers right here. If the sum is blank, the plane will move blank. So if the sum is the left of the blue marker here, it will move 0 spaces. If it's between the 2 markers right here, like 5 to 8, it'll move 1 space. If it's to the right of the orange marker, it'll move 2 spaces. Your distance from the airport is shown at the approach track. So the airport is up there. When we advance towards the airport, the track will shift downward. So we'll get closer and closer. Let's try it. Select the 4 on the right. Okay. Place your die here and click confirm. Good. Now it's our co-pilot's turn. So we advance to 1 because it's in the middle. 4 plus 2 is 6. Did you see the approach track move? Our co-pilot placed a 2 in their engine space. The sum of our 2 dice is 6, which is between the blue and orange notches. It's right here. Therefore, the plane advanced 1 space toward the airport. Next, do you see all these planes on the approach track? They're in our way. We'll need to make sure our path is to the airport is clear. To clear the path, we need to use the radio. We have 1 slot for this. Our co-pilot has 2, right here. When we put a die here, we can take 1 airplane off a space that corresponds with the value of the die. Let's try it. So select 5, confirm your action. So 5 was this one up here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good. We used a 5, so 1 airplane flew away from this space, 5 spaces away from our current position. We must be careful not to advance if there's an airplane in our current position, otherwise we'll crash. In other words, if this, then this. We have 1 more die this round. Let's put it in one of the concentration spaces, so scroll down. Okay. Whenever we fill one, we can prepare 1 cup of coffee. Unlike the other spaces, these can be used by both pilot and co-pilot. The dice values are not important. It says half blue and half orange, so both of us can use it. Let's try it. So put the 4, we'll put it here. 4 here. Confirm. Okay, we got 1 coffee. The coffee is ready. It can be used by anyone to change the value of a die by +1 or -1, but we can't change a 1 into a 6 or vice versa. We can save this cup for as long as we want. It won't get cold. Okay, both players have used all their dice. Time for phase 3, end of round. 2 things happen during this phase. Okay, let me scroll up. The altitude track moves down by 1 space. So we'll go from 6,000 to 5,000. It functions as a round tracker. Both players retrieve all their dice. So you went to 5,000. Okay, now we're in round 2. We have another strategic discussion phase so you can communicate with your partner. After this step, all action steps will involve a continue button so you don't accidentally get stuck. Click I'm ready at the top. The slot at the bottom of the altitude tab shows our current altitude, 5,000. Last time we were at 6,000 feet, and this space was highlighted in blue with an arrow pointing left. This time it's in orange with an arrow pointing right. This means the co-pilot will go first this round. They place a 3 on the axis, and we can get to that later. Let's learn about landing gear. These are these over here. There are 3 wheels that need to be deployed. See the arrows by these right here. Each wheel requires a die of a different value. Once we fill the space, the switch below will flip to show a green light. Let's try it. So select the 1 and then confirm. Oops. Select the 1. Okay, continue. There we go. Good. The wheel is now deployed. See that it flipped. We'll need to make sure all 3 wheels are deployed before the end of the game. Otherwise, we'll crash. So there we got 3 right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Did you notice that the aerodynamics marker moved? So this one moved over 1. Deploying landing gear increases drag on the plane, which makes it harder to maintain speed. Every time a wheel is deployed, this marker will move 1 notch to the right. Since the landing gear spaces are blue, only the pilot can deploy them. The co-pilot has something similar to deal with on the other side, wing flaps. That's what these are. Unlike landing gear, wing flaps must be deployed in order from top to bottom. So for the blue, I can place it in any order. I can do this one, then this one, or this one. For the landing gear, I have to do it sequentially. So 1 to 2, 2 to 3, so work my way down. Whenever a flap is deployed, it increases wind resistance on the plane. To represent this, the orange dynamics marker moves 1 notch to the right. We'll see a demonstration later. There's only 1 more space to go over, the brakes. Just like wing flaps, the brakes must be deployed in order from left to right, so 2, 4, 6. The first space, as you can see, requires a 2. We don't have a 2. Coffee to the rescue. Remember, coffee lets us change the die's value by +1 or -1, so select the 3. Okay, place the die here, and it should be a 2. Oh, click on the drink. Hold on, go. Click on the, oh, here we go. There we go. Now I can place it here, 2 to 2. Continue. Excellent, the first brake has been deployed. When we deploy the first brake, the brake marker moved 1 notch to the right. If you deploy another brake, it will move to the next notch, which is between 4 and 5, not 3 and 4. So it'll deploy between 2 to there. Okay, there we go. At the beginning of the final round, the plane will touch down. At that point, it won't make any sense to compare our speed to the aerodynamics marker, will it? We won't be in the air anymore. Instead, our speed will be compared to the brake marker. If your total speed, the sum of the engine dice of these two right here, is to the left of our brake marker, we'll safely bring the plane to a stop. So the engine needs to be less than the brakes. Otherwise, we crash. We still have 2 dice to use in this round. We better fill up the mandatory spaces. Our co-pilot put a 5 in the engine. We currently have a 6 and a 4. Uh-oh. Do you see the problem? You might want to minimize this box. Okay. If we put a 4 in the engine, the sum 9, we put the 4 in the engine, the sum 9 would be to the right of the orange dynamics marker. That would mean the plane would advance 2 spaces, but there's a plane 1 ahead of us, so it can't move 2 spaces. We could use our last cup of coffee to change a 4 to a 3, but let's wait. Let's trust our co-pilot. Let's take care of the axis first. So select the 6. So it should flip back to our side. Place it here, confirm your action. Okay, confirm. There we go. Our axis moved 3 notches in our direction. Still not level, but we're better off than where we were before. Oh, wonderful. Our co-pilot deployed one of the wing flaps, which moved our aerodynamics marker to the right. Now we can safely place our 4 in the engine. Okay. Okay, BJ already selected our 4 because it's the only die we have left. So place it here, confirm your action, and continue. What? Okay, continue. That's it for round 2. I think you've got the hang of it. There are a few more things I need to mention, though. There's a reroll token attached to this space. When this is our current altitude, we will acquire that token. Once acquired, any player may trigger it at any time, allowing both players to reroll as many dice as they like. BJ will inform each player of how many dice their partner has chosen to roll. The first space of the altitude tab actually has a reroll token on it too. We instantly acquired it, and it's been sitting here ever since. Eventually, our altitude will drop to 0. Here, 0. Which is indicated by a landed plane. We must reach the airport and clear way of all the other airplanes before we touch down. Also, once we reach the airport, we must be careful not to advance any further, otherwise we'll overshoot our destination and crash. If we manage to hold our position at the airport, the plane will touch down, and the final round will begin. Okay. By the end of the final round, we must have our plane perfectly level, so that's this part here, have deployed all of our landing gear, right here, did deploy the wing flaps, all of these right here, and have an engine speed that is less than our brake marker, so really low engine, so right here, below 2. You're now ready for your first flight to Montreal, but there are several other flights available in the lobby options. Each one features a different combination of modules, which increases the complexity and difficulty of the game. I'll briefly cover over these modules now. Module 1, Traffic. Some spaces on the distance tab have dice icons on them. If our current position has a dice icon, the black one, See right here. Okay. If our current position has a dice icon on it at the beginning of a round, we'll roll a special die, 2, 3, 4, 4, 5, and place an airplane onto the approach track at a distance corresponding to the value we rolled. So if you hit one of these, that means you're rolling and you're getting more planes. In other words, a roll 3 places the airplane 3 spaces away. Module 2, turns. Some spaces on the distance tab require us to have our axis in a certain position before advancing through them. If we advance our axis with the wrong angle, we crash. Module 3, kerosene. The kerosene track is placed next to the control panel with a marker pointing to 20. Any player may place a die there to reduce the marker by the value of the die. If no die is placed there, the meter goes down by 6 at the end of the round. If it reaches an X, we crash. Module 4, special abilities. We get 1 or 2 special ability cards. And that's it. They're cool. Okay, module, wind. The wind dial is added to the board. Each round, as soon as the axis is resolved, the dial is shifted left or right a number of spaces corresponding to the plane's right axis, or the plane's current axis. I have to read that again. As soon as the axis is resolved, the dial is shifted left or right a number of spaces corresponding to the plane's current axis. So if we're tilted 2 notches to the left, we'll move the wind dial 2 notches to the left. Whenever the engine is resolved, whatever value the wind dial is pointing to is added to our total speed. Module 6, interns. The intern board is placed along the bottom of the control panel. A randomly numbered intern token is placed in each slot. Players may place dice on the board to move one intern token off the board and onto another action space. These tokens act as dice for the round. So you can see it's taking a number and it's like they rolled a 2. We must use all the intern tokens before the end of the game or we won't crash, but we'll lose. Module 7, real time. Players only have 60 seconds to place all their dice. When the time's up, an unplaced dice goes unused. If you haven't filled our mandatory spaces, we crash. Module 8, kerosene leak. The kerosene track is set up as normal. Instead of playing dice, the marker is automatically reduced each round by the difference between the 2 engine dice plus 1. Module 4, ice brakes. The normal brakes are replaced with this board. Ice brakes must be deployed from left to right. Each step requires 2 dice in a single round to be deployed. If only 1 die is present on a step at the end of the round, is discarded with no effect. Unlike normal brakes, ice brakes must be completed by the end of the game, and our final engine speed must be less than 5 or we crash. Thank you for playing through this tutorial for SkyTeam. If you have any questions or comments about the tutorial, feel free to send Neck on Yancer a message. A big thank you goes out to Jordy Jansen for bringing this game to BGA. Have fun. 5 stars.